Hey guys, James here. Um, Review issue 6 of Park Jesus, and it's kind of hard to review and not be spoilers. So um, what I want to talk about is kind of more um, what we get with the wrap up of this story. So um, first off, it has a very nice wrap up to it. It finishes out all the characters. It lets you. It feels like a complete ending, or some of these stories it feels like they leave an opening for something else. I really didn't get that with this. I feel the story um, very definitive beginning, middle, and end. Um, and in issue 6, it wraps it up nicely. Is it a happy ending? I don't know that it's a happy ending, but it's an ending. Um, so issue 6 is kind of more about for me talking about it and not getting into the particulars of the story is more about the journey that it leads us on. So to me, the main character of this is Thomas McHale. Um, some people say it's Chris, which is the Jesus character. But to me, it's really Thomas McHale, which is the security guard, and following him through his really following him through his whole journey of his life. And Chris, there's a lot of parallels between their two lives, and they both start out in this indoctrinated, um, uh, fundamentalist, very religious ways. Very different. I mean, Thomas grows up in this IRA household and raised by his uncle. As Chris is, raised by the Opus organization on J2 on the island. But essentially, it's the same. They both started in this very indoctrinated, fundamental religious ways, and they both are changed by events in their life and go different ways. Whereas Thomas um, really embraces a lot of the things he was taught and kind of becomes more of a religious zealot. Chris turns the other way and becomes the punk rock guy and the atheist. So um, it's a lot about that parallel in their life journeys. To me, Thomas is the main character, like I said. Um, and really, with all the characters in this book, it's about their religious journey. It's about their spiritual journey and what they believe. And with Thomas, especially in issue 6, he comes to a lot of conclusions and he changes a lot of his beliefs, I think. And the same with Chris at the end. I think a lot of the things he believes and the experiences he's been through kind of change, and they come to a maybe a more happy medium with what they believe. You find out about the other characters too. The doctor, she's an atheist, and Rebecca, her daughter is kind of her own beliefs, her own personal God or whatever. Not really an organized religion. And you have Slate, who is a really he essentially believes in nothing except money and what he how he can take advantage of religion and fundamentalism to just to basically take from everybody else and to take advantage of their situations. And in reading this story, you really think a lot about those things in yourself. And I think anybody that's open minded, this is not a religiously offensive book, at least it's not to me. And I think it more um, it makes you think. It makes you think about what you believe. It makes you think about why you believe it. And it's important to think about those things. I think anybody that questions their religion a little bit, or questions their spirituality, only strengthens it. So I suggest anybody, even if you're religious, you go to church and things, you know, you have very strong beliefs. I don't think that this would be offensive to you. So I highly suggest you read it. Even if you don't want to get in depth and think about a lot of those things, you can read it without that. This is a great action story. I mean, you got guns, explosions, car chases, the whole 9 yards. So there's a lot of great things to think about like that. If you don't want to uh, think about all the religious stuff behind it. Um, this is probably one of my top 10 favorite stories. So I really suggest people read it. And I want to thank everybody who took part in this and all the great reviews. Scott, uh, Comic Stuff Comics, Matt, Damien, thank you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. This is not an easy book to talk about. It's not an easy story to talk about and not spoil it because so many people haven't read it. So it's not like a Batman story. You can kind of go through some things and you know all the main characters and you can talk a lot about it without being spoilers. This is you really have to talk about what it means behind it. And so I really appreciate you guys taking the time to do that and to talk about some of the harder things because I know a lot of this, you're talking about religion and spirituality and belief and some of these things aren't comfortable to talk about. So thank you guys for doing that. Hopefully here in the next week or so, I'm going to try to get together with those guys. I haven't talked to them about it yet, but maybe we'll do a hangout to discuss this further, and maybe we'll get into some of the more spoilerish stuff in that. But thank everybody who watched also. I appreciate it, guys. If you guys have any questions, please post them below. I'm glad to go more in depth with some of the stuff as far as telling the whole story of what happened. But like I said, I want you guys to read it if you had it. I know a lot of people have it. So thank you, and have a good night.